Dr. Elena Rodriguez had always been the type of person who believed in facts. Working alone at the Desert Research Station in Nevada, she spent her days looking through microscopes and running tests on dirt samples. Her job was simple: search for tiny signs of life that might have come from space. Most days, she found nothing but regular Earth bacteria and minerals. Elena loved the quiet of the desert. No city noise, no crowds, just her small laboratory and the endless sky above. She had been working there for 3 years, and every day followed the same routine. Wake up, check the equipment, analyze samples, record data, and go to sleep. It was peaceful, predictable, and exactly what she wanted after leaving her busy life in the city. On that particular night, in March, Elena was working late again. She often stayed up past midnight because the desert was so quiet then. The only sounds were the hum of her machines and the occasional coyote howling in the distance. She was looking at a soil sample under her microscope when something strange happened. First, the lights in her lab started flickering. Elena thought it was just another power problem the old generator sometimes acted up during windy nights. But then she noticed something odd. The flickering wasn't random. It had a pattern, like someone was turning the lights on and off in a specific rhythm. She looked up from her microscope and saw something that made her heart skip a beat. Outside, her window, the desert sky was glowing with colors that shouldn't exist. Green and purple lights danced across the darkness, forming shapes that looked almost like writing. Elena had lived in the desert long enough to know that these weren't normal northern lights. Those didn't happen in Nevada. Her computer screen suddenly filled with symbols she had never seen before. They looked like a mix of circles, lines, and dots, all moving and changing position. Elena tried to type, but her keyboard wouldn't respond. The symbols kept appearing faster and faster until the whole screen was covered. That's when she heard it, or rather felt it. A voice spoke inside her head, clear as day, but not coming through her ears. Dr. Rodriguez, it said, somehow knowing her name. I have been looking for someone like you. Elena's hands started shaking. She looked around her lab, wondering if someone was playing a joke on her. But she was alone, miles away from the nearest town. The voice came again, gentle but urgent. Please do not be afraid. I need your help. Elena had always prided herself on being logical, but nothing about this situation made sense. She stood up slowly and walked to the window. What she saw outside made her legs feel weak. A craft hung in the air above her research station. It wasn't like any airplane or helicopter she had ever seen. The shape kept changing, as if it was made of liquid metal that couldn't decide what form to take. Sometimes it looked round, sometimes triangular, and sometimes like nothing she could describe. Lights pulsed along its surface in the same pattern she had seen in the sky. Elena's scientific mind kicked in despite her fear. She grabbed her camera and started taking pictures, but the photos showed nothing but empty desert sky. The craft was there. She could see it clearly, but her camera couldn't capture it. Your instruments cannot record what exists beyond your current understanding, the voice explained. But your eyes can see truth when your mind is ready. Lena wanted to run back inside and lock her door, but something kept her standing at the window. The voice didn't feel dangerous, felt sad, desperate even. I know this is difficult to accept, the voice continued, but my daughter is dying, and you are the only one who can help her. A beam of soft blue light descended from the craft. Elena had seen enough science fiction movies to know she should probably run, but her feet wouldn't move. The light touched the ground in front of her building, creating a perfect circle that glowed like moonlight. Elena found herself walking. Outside, she couldn't explain why, but every step felt right, as if she was meant to be there. The desert air was cool against her skin, and the stars above seemed brighter than usual. As she approached the circle of light, Elena felt a strange tingling sensation, like static electricity but warm and gentle. The voice spoke again, and this time it carried emotion she could feel: worry, hope, and something that reminded her of her own mother's love. I am a mother, just like mothers on your world, the voice said. My child is sick with something our healers cannot cure. You study life from other worlds. You might be able to help her. Elena looked up at the craft and took a deep breath. Her logical mind told her this was impossible. Aliens didn't exist. They certainly didn't hover over desert research stations asking for medical help. But her heart told her something different. "What do you need me to do?" she whispered into the night air. The blue light grew brighter and began to surround her. Lena felt herself becoming lighter, as if gravity was loosening its grip on her body. Instead of fear, she felt calm. Whatever was happening, it felt like the beginning of something important. As she rose slowly into the air, carried by the gentle light, Alina looked down at her small research station. It looked so tiny from above, just a few buildings in an endless desert. She had spent 3 years there, searching for signs of life from other worlds, never imagining that life from another world might come searching for her. The last thing she saw before everything went white was the earth getting smaller below her. And the last thing she thought was that her quiet, predictable life was about to become something extraordinary. Chat Control's Sonnet 4. When Alina opened her eyes, she found herself in a room that seemed impossible. The walls around her looked like they were made of flowing water, but when she reached out to touch them, they felt solid and warm. Colors moved through the surfaces, like gentle waves, shifting from silver to deep blue and back again. Above her, there was no ceiling she could see, just endless space filled with soft glowing light. Alina sat up slowly, her head spinning slightly. She was lying on something that felt like the most comfortable bed she had ever experienced, though it looked more like a cloud than furniture. Her clothes were the same, and she didn't feel hurt or scared, just incredibly amazed. "You are safe." "Dr. Rodriguez," came the familiar voice, now much clearer than before. "Please, do not worry." Alina turned toward the sound and saw her breath catch in her throat. Standing a few feet away was the most beautiful being she had ever seen. Tall and graceful, with skin that seemed to shimmer like starlight, the figure was clearly not human, but somehow felt familiar and kind. The being had large, gentle eyes that reminded Alina of deep space, dark but filled with tiny points of light that seemed to move and dance. Her face was elegant and peaceful, and when she moved, it was like watching water flow or wind blow through tall grass. "I am Queen Zara," the being said, and Alina could see her lips moving now, though the words still seemed to come from inside her own mind. "I rule a people called the Valter. We come from a place very far from your world." Lena's scientific brain was working overtime, trying to process what she was seeing. "You're really an alien," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is actually happening." Queen Zara nodded, and Alina could see something in her expression that she recognized immediately, the look of a worried parent. It was the same expression her own mother had worn when Alina was sick as a child, the same mix of love and desperation that crosses all boundaries. "Yes, this is real," Queen Zara said, "and I need your help with something very important. My daughter is dying, and you are the only person who might be able to save her." The queen gestured with her hand, and part of the wall became transparent like a window. Through it, Alina could see into another room where a younger version of Queen Zara was lying still on a bed similar to the one Alina had just been on. The girl looked peaceful, as if she was sleeping, but Alina could see strange dark patterns moving under her skin like shadows. "Her name is Nyx," Queen Zara said, and Alina heard the pain in her voice. "She's curious about other worlds, just like you are curious about life from other planets. She came to study your Earth, to learn about the plants and animals there." Alina moved closer to the transparent wall, studying the sick girl with the same attention she gave to her microscope samples. "What happened to her?" "She got sick with something we have never seen before," the queen explained. "It is part disease from your world, and part something from ours. When the two mixed together inside her body, it created something our healers cannot cure. They understand sickness from our world, but not from yours." Alina watched the dark patterns moving under Nyx's skin and felt her heart break a little. The girl looked so young, maybe the alien equivalent of a teenager. "But I'm not a doctor," Alina said. "I studied tiny organisms and soil samples. I wouldn't know how to treat a person, especially not someone from another planet." Queen Zara turned to face her fully, and Alina saw tears in those starlight eyes. They looked just like human tears, clear and full of emotion. "You know more about life than you realize," the queen said. "You understand how living things work at the smallest level. You study the building blocks of life itself. The queen moved closer, and Alina felt no fear, only sympathy for this mother who was watching her child suffer. Our healers tried everything they know, Queen Zara continued, but this sickness is from both our worlds. You need someone who can understand both kinds of life. Alina looked back at Nyx, then at the queen. How did you even find me? Specifically, we've been watching your planet for many years, Queen Zara explained. Not to harm anyone, but to learn. We found you because you spend your time looking for us in a way. Your work, studying life that might come from other worlds, made your mind more open to possibilities that others would not believe. The queen paused, and Alina could feel her hope and desperation. You are also kind, she added. We can sense that about people. You care about living things, even tiny ones that others cannot see. If anyone can help my daughter, it is someone like you. Alina felt the weight of the situation settling on her shoulders. Here she was, millions of miles from Earth, being asked to save the life of an alien princess with knowledge she wasn't even sure she possessed. Should have been terrifying, but instead she felt honored. What would I need to do? Alina asked. Quietly, Queen Zara's face brightened with hope. You would work with our healers, they would share their knowledge with you, and you would share yours with them. Together you might find a way to cure what neither of our peoples could cure alone. Alina looked once more at Nyx, lying so still in the other room. She thought about her own mother, about how she would feel if Alina was the one lying there sick. She thought about her quiet life in the desert, searching for signs of life from other worlds, never dreaming that other worlds might need her help. I'll try, Alina said, surprising herself with how certain she sounded. I don't know if I can help, but I have to try. Queen Zara smiled, and it was like watching the sun rise. Thank you, she said, and Alina felt the gratitude not just in the words, but in her heart. You give us hope when we had none left. As Alina prepared to enter a world of medicine and healing beyond anything she had ever imagined, she realized that sometimes the most important discoveries happen not when we're looking for them, but when they come looking for us. Chat controls Sonnet 4. Part 3. The impossible challenge. Alina followed Queen Zara through corridors that seemed to change as they walked. The walls glowed softly, providing just enough light to see, and the floor felt springy under her feet, like walking on thick grass. Everything around her hummed with a gentle energy that made her feel calm, despite the incredible situation. They arrived at what Alina could only describe as a medical center, though it looked nothing like any hospital she had ever seen. The room was circular, with beds that seemed to float slightly above the floor. Strange instruments hung from the ceiling, moving slowly like underwater plants. And screens showed information and symbols Alina couldn't read. This is our healing chamber, Queen Zara explained. And this is Healer Thane, our most skilled medical expert. Alina turned to see another Velter approaching them. Thane was shorter than Queen Zara, with darker skin that had a blue tint too. Yet his eyes were kind but serious, and Alina could tell immediately that he cared deeply about his work. When he looked at her, she felt like he was seeing right through to her soul. Dr. Rodriguez, Thane said, his voice gentle but worried. I have studied your daughter's condition for many days now. What she has is unlike anything we have encountered. Alina looked over at Nyx, who was lying on one of the floating beds. Up close, she could see the strange patterns under the girl's skin more clearly. They moved like living shadows, sometimes clustering around her heart, sometimes spreading out. To her arms and legs, it was beautiful in a disturbing way, like watching storm clouds form under glass. Can you tell me what happened exactly? Alina asked, falling into her scientific mindset. When did she first get sick? Thane gestured to a chair that seemed to grow out of the floor as Alina sat down. Nyx spent 3 months studying life on your planet. She was fascinated by your forests and oceans. She wanted to understand how life on Earth is different from life in our world. Queen Zara sat beside Alina, her eyes never leaving her daughter. She always loved to explore. Even as a small child, she would wander into parts of our world that others feared to visit. She has such curiosity about everything. During her time on Earth, Thane continued, she was exposed to many of your microorganisms. Most cause no problems. Our bodies can handle foreign bacteria quite well. But there was one that found a way to combine with something already in her system. Alina leaned forward, fascinated despite her worry. What do you mean combine? Thane moved to a screen and touched it gently. Images appeared that Alina somehow understood, even though they showed things she had never seen before. Our people have energy patterns in our bodies, like electrical currents but much more complex. These patterns help us heal, help us communicate with each other, help us live. Alina nodded, thinking of the way Queen Zara spoke directly into her mind. The voice in my head, that's part of these energy patterns? Exactly, Queen Zara said. But the earth bacteria that infected Nyx learned to use our energy patterns against us. It spread through her system, using the very thing that keeps us healthy. Alina studied the images on the screen. She could see the bacteria, which looked familiar to her trained eye, but it was surrounded by something that looked like flowing light. So it's not just a disease anymore. It's become something new, something that exists in both our biological systems. Yes, Thane said, impressed by her quick understanding. Our medicines can fight the energy part of the disease, but not the bacteria part. Your earth medicines could fight the bacteria, but they would have no effect on the energy component. Alina felt the weight of the problem settling on her, and if you can't treat both parts at the same time, she will continue to get worse. Queen Zara finished quietly. The two parts of the disease are protecting each other. When we attack one, the other grows stronger. Alina stood up and moved closer to Nyx's bed. The girl looked so peaceful, but Alina could see that she was getting weaker. Her breathing was shallow, and the patterns under her skin were moving faster now, as if the disease was becoming more aggressive. What can I do to help? Alina asked. I understand the problem, but I'm not sure how to solve it. Thane exchanged a look with Queen Zara before answering. There is a way, but it is dangerous. We can share our medical knowledge with you directly, mind to mind. You would understand our healing methods as if you had studied them your whole life. Alina felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of danger? Your human mind was not designed to hold alien knowledge, Queen Zara explained gently. The process might change you in ways we cannot predict. You might gain abilities you never had, or you might lose some of your human perspective forever. Alina looked down at Nyx again. The girl was so young, with her whole life ahead of her. Alina thought about her own quiet life in the desert, her simple routine of studying soil samples and recording data. It seemed very small compared to the life of an alien princess who traveled between worlds. If I don't do it, she dies, Alina asked. Yes, Thane said simply. Without both types of medical knowledge working together, we cannot save her. Alina took a deep breath. She had always been cautious, always preferred the safe choice. But standing in this impossible medical center, looking at a dying girl from another world, she realized that some choices were bigger than personal safety. How long will the process take? She asked. Several hours, Thane replied, and you will need to remain conscious throughout. The knowledge must integrate slowly, or your mind might not survive the experience. Queen Zara reached out and touched Alina's hand. Her skin felt warm and electric, and Alina could sense the queen's gratitude and worry. You do not have to do this, she said. We have no right to ask this of you. Alina looked around the medical center at the impossible technology and the being who had traveled across the galaxy to ask for her help. She thought about all the nights she had spent alone in her lab, wondering if life existed somewhere else in the universe. Now she knew it did, and it needed her. Yes, I do have to do this, Alina said, surprised by her own certainty. Let's save your daughter. As Thane began preparing the equipment for the knowledge transfer, Alina felt scared and excited at the same time. She had no idea what she was about to become, but she knew it was the right thing to do. Alina lay back in what healer Thane called the connection chamber, trying to calm her racing heart. The device looked like a combination of a dentist's chair and something from a science fiction movie. Soft blue lights pulsed around her head, and she could feel a gentle tingling sensation on her skin. Remember Dr. Rodriguez? Thane said, adjusting the strange equipment above her. You must stay awake during the entire process. If you fall asleep or lose consciousness, the knowledge transfer could damage your mind permanently. Alina nodded, gripping the smooth armrests of the chair. Queen Zara stood beside her, holding her daughter's hand, while keeping one eye on Alina. The worry in the Queen's face was clear. She was asking Alina to risk everything for someone she had just met. "I'm ready," Alina said, though she didn't feel ready at all. The process began slowly. First, Alina felt like she was daydreaming. Images flowed through her mind, alien plants that glowed in the dark, medical techniques that used light instead of medicine, ways of seeing inside living bodies without cutting them open. It was fascinating and overwhelming at the same time. But as the hours passed, the experience became more intense. Alina could feel her brain changing, expanding to hold knowledge that no human had ever possessed. She learned about energy healing, about how the Velter could direct their life force to repair damaged tissue. She understood how their bodies worked, how they thought, even how they felt emotions. "How are you feeling?" Thane asked, during a brief pause. Alina tried to describe. It's like learning a new language, except the language is made of colors and feelings instead of words. I can see things I never noticed before, and it was true. Even with her eyes closed, Alina could sense the life energy of everyone in the room. Queen Zara's energy was bright but stressed, pulsing with worry for her daughter. Thane's was steady and focused, like a lighthouse beam. And Nyx's energy was weak and chaotic, fighting against the disease that was slowly killing her. After 6 hours, the knowledge transfer was complete. Alina sat up slowly, her head spinning with new understanding. She looked at Nyx, and could now see the disease the way the Valter healers saw it, not just as bacteria, but as disrupted energy patterns that were getting worse by the hour. "I can see it now," Alina whispered. "I can see exactly what's wrong." With her, she moved to Nyx's bedside and placed her hands just above the girl's chest. Through her new alien sight, she could see the earth bacteria clustered around Nyx's heart, feeding on the disrupted energy patterns, but she could also see something the Velter healers had missed. "The bacteria isn't just using her energy," Alina said excitedly. "It's trying to communicate with it. Look here." She pointed to a spot on the monitoring screen. "Patterns aren't random. They're like a conversation between the bacteria and her life force." Thane moved closer, studying the readings with new interest. "What do you mean?" Alina's human training combined with her new alien knowledge in a way that surprised everyone, including herself. On Earth, some bacteria work together with their hosts instead of just taking from them. This one is trying to do the same thing, but it doesn't know how to communicate properly with Valter energy. Queen Zara looked hopeful for the first time in days. "So the bacteria isn't trying to hurt her?" "Not exactly," Alina explained. "It's like two people trying to have a conversation when neither speaks the other's language. They keep getting more frustrated and talking louder, but it just makes things worse." Over the next 3 days, Alina worked with Thane to develop a treatment that had never existed before. They combined human antibiotics with Valter energy healing, but instead of fighting the bacteria, they taught it how to communicate properly with Nyx's life force. The process was exhausting. Alina had to maintain a constant connection with Nyx's energy patterns, while also monitoring the bacteria's response to treatment. She barely slept, surviving on alien foods that tasted like nothing she had ever experienced. But slowly, incredibly, it began to work. Alina watched in amazement as the dark patterns under Nyx's skin started to change. Instead of chaotic swirls, they began forming organized shapes. The bacteria and Nyx's energy were learning to work together instead of fighting each other. "Look at her breathing," Queen Zara said on the 3rd day, tears of joy streaming down. "Her face, it's getting stronger." Alina felt a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with her new alien abilities. This was the feeling every scientist dreamed of, the moment when understanding led to healing, when knowledge saved a life. But the success came with unexpected side effects for Alina. As Nyx got better, Alina found that her own perception of the world had changed permanently. She could see energy patterns in all living things now, not just the Valter. When she looked at the alien plants in the medical center, she could sense their health and happiness. Even the technology around her had a kind of life force that she had never noticed before. "The knowledge integration has left traces in your neural pathways," Thane explained gently when Alina mentioned the changes. "You will always see the world differently now. But it is not harmful. It is like gaining a new sense." On the fourth morning, something wonderful happened. Nyx opened her eyes. Alina was checking the monitoring equipment when she heard Queen Zara gasp. She turned to see the young alien princess looking around the room with curious bright eyes. The dark patterns under her skin had transformed into gentle, glowing designs that pulsed with healthy energy. "Mother?" Nyx said, her voice weak but clear. Queen Zara rushed to her daughter's side. Speaking in their own language through the energy connection, Alina could now partially understand. What? The conversation was full of love, relief, and gratitude. Nyx looked over at Alina with wonder. "You are the human who saved me," she said, her words forming directly in Alina's mind. "I can feel your kindness in your energy. Thank you," Alina smiled, feeling tears in her own eyes. "You're very welcome." "How do you feel?" "Different," Nyx said thoughtfully. "Like I understand both worlds now, yours and mine." "The bacteria is still with me, but we are friends now instead of enemies." Alina realized that they had done more than cure a disease, they had created the first successful cooperation between Earth life and alien life. Nyx was now a bridge between two worlds, carrying the best of both inside her. But as Alina watched the happy reunion between mother and daughter, she began to wonder what would happen next. She had knowledge now that could change everything humanity understood about medicine and life itself, yet she was millions of miles from Earth, with secrets that could either help her species or terrify them. "What happens now?" Alina asked Queen Zara quietly. The alien queen looked at her with an expression Alina couldn't quite read. "That Dr. Rodriguez is a choice that will affect both our worlds forever." 2 weeks had passed since Nyx's recovery, and Alina found herself standing in the ship's observation deck, looking down at Earth. Her home planet looked so small and peaceful from this distance, like a blue marble floating in an endless ocean of stars. She could see the lights of cities twinkling on the dark side of the world, and somewhere down there was her little research station in the Nevada desert. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Queen Zara said, joining Alina at the massive window. Alina nodded, though her heart felt heavy. "I've been thinking about what comes next. I can't just pretend this never happened, can I?" Queen Zara was quiet for a moment, watching the Earth slowly turn below them. "We have something important to tell you, Dr. Rodriguez. Your case with Nyx is not the only one." Alina turned to face her, surprised. "Hey, do you mean there have been others?" Queen Zara explained gently. "Not many, but enough to worry us. Some of our people visit your world to study and learn, just as Nyx did. And sometimes they get sick with these mixed diseases that neither our healers nor your doctors can cure." Alina felt a chill run down her spine. "How many others?" 3. "More in the past year," Queen Zara admitted. "We have been able to help them return to their home worlds, but they remain sick. Without someone who understands both types of medicine, they will eventually die." Alina sank into one of the chairs that seemed to grow from the floor whenever someone needed to sit. "So this is bigger than just Nyx." "Much bigger," came a new voice. Alina turned to see Nyx walking toward them, looking healthy and vibrant. The young alien moved with a grace that reminded Alina of flowing water. Her eyes sparkled with intelligence and curiosity. "Hello, Dr. Rodriguez," Nyx said warmly. "I wanted to thank you again for saving my life." Alina smiled, feeling the same warmth she had experienced when Nyx first woke up. "I'm just glad you're feeling better, but your mother says there are others who need help." Nyx nodded seriously. "And it's not just our people. We've detected cases on your world too, humans, who have been exposed to trace amounts of our bioenergy and developed similar hybrid conditions. Your doctors think these people have rare unknown diseases." Lena's scientific mind began racing. "How is that possible? Are your people making contact with humans regularly?" "Not directly," Queen Zara explained, "but energy leaves traces, places. Where our ships have passed, objects that have been exposed to our technology, even areas where we have landed briefly. Some sensitive humans can absorb these energy traces, and when combined with certain Earth bacteria or viruses, they create the same kind of hybrid diseases." Alina stood up and began pacing, a habit she had when thinking through complex problems. "So we're looking at an ongoing medical situation that affects both species." "Exactly," Nyx said. and you are the only person in either of our worlds who can treat these conditions. Queen Zara moved closer to Alina. We want to offer you a choice, but we want you to understand what each option means. Alina stopped pacing and listened carefully. First option, Queen Zara continued, we can return you to your research station. We can adjust your memories so that you remember this as an interesting dream. You would go back to your normal life, studying soil samples and looking for signs of life from other worlds. But the sick people would die, Alina said quietly. Eventually. Yes, Queen Zara admitted. Without treatment, these hybrid diseases always prove fatal. Alina felt the weight of that knowledge settling on her shoulders. What's the second option? Nyx stepped forward, her young face serious but hopeful.
Oh.
You could help us create a secret medical program. We would establish a hidden facility where human and Velter healers could work together. You would train others to recognize and treat these hybrid diseases. It would mean leaving your old life behind, Queen Zara warned. You could never return to normal human society. The knowledge you carry is too dangerous to share. Openly, it would cause panic and fear among your people. Alina thought about her quiet life in the desert, her small laboratory, her predictable routine, her peaceful solitude. It had been a good life, but it suddenly seemed very small compared to what she was being offered. Where would this facility be? Alina asked. We have found a location that exists between dimensions, Nyx explained. It touches both your world and ours, but belongs fully to neither. You could travel to both places when needed, but your primary home would be in this in-between space. Lena walked back to the window and looked down at Earth again. She thought about all the people down there who might be suffering from diseases that no one understood. She thought about the Velter who were dying from conditions their own healers couldn't cure. And she thought about the incredible opportunity to be part of something that had never existed before, true cooperation between two intelligent species. Would I be alone? Alina asked. Not at all, Queen Zara said warmly. We would recruit other humans with the right combination of scientific knowledge and open minds. Doctors, researchers, people like you who could handle the truth about our existence. And on our side, Nyx added, young healers who were interested in learning about human medicine. I want to be one of them, actually. This experience has made me want to help others the way you helped me. Elena smiled at that. The idea of working with Nyx, teaching her human medicine while learning more about Velter healing was incredibly appealing. How long do I have to decide? Alina asked. Long as you need, Queen Zara replied. But we hope you will consider that right now. People are suffering from diseases that you are uniquely qualified to cure. Alina closed her eyes and tried to imagine herself back in her desert laboratory, looking through microscopes and filing reports, knowing that somewhere in the universe, people were dying from conditions she could treat. The image felt wrong, like trying to wear clothes that no longer fit. When she opened her eyes, she found Queen Zara and Nyx watching her with hopeful expressions. I want to see this facility, Alina said, and I want to meet the other people who might be part of this program. If we're going to do this, we need to do it right. Queen Zara's face lit up with joy. Does that mean ... Alina took a deep breath and looked one last time at the earth below. It means I'm ready to become something I never imagined I could be. Let's go save some lives. 6 months later, Alina stood in the medical wing of the interdimensional facility, watching as a team of human and Velter healers worked together to treat a young man from Earth who had been exposed to alien energy traces. On the other side of the room, Nyx was teaching a group of human doctors how to see energy patterns in living tissue. Alina kept a photo on her desk herself. Queen Zara and Nyx on the day they first successfully treated a hybrid disease together. Below it, she had written a simple message. Sometimes the greatest discoveries happen when we're brave enough to say yes to the impossible. Lena had found her true calling among the stars, not searching for signs of life from other worlds, but helping to heal the connections between worlds that had always been meant to work together.